So, right now I'm reading Saints and Strangers by George F. Willison, picking through the introduction. This is an old book, early 20th century, we'll say. And the introduction here has a particular gem that I think you guys are going to get a kick out of. They're talking about the manuscript called Of Plymouth Plantation. I've got a copy of it over there on the bookshelf. This was the main manuscript that Bradford kept after the fact, and it wasn't discovered or published until probably the middle of the 1800s, about 200 years after Plymouth was established. Get ready for this when they talk about the original writings of Bradford and what happened to them. For 200 years, the world was little the wiser for anything that Bradford had written, for his history had a curious history of its own. As Bradford had not written for publication, his manuscript was handed down from father to son for several generations, with little or no appreciation of its unique worth. Some passages were copied into the church records by Nathaniel Morton, Bradford's nephew and secretary of the Old Colony, who also consulted it in compiling his rather dull and sketchy Annals of the Forefathers, New England's Memorial. Many years later, Bradford's history passed into the hands of another early New England chronicler, the Reverend Thomas Prince, who published a few excerpts from it and then placed it on the shelves of the library he had fitted up for himself in the tower of the renowned Old South Church, Boston. Here the manuscript presumably remained until the American Revolution. Here's where it gets spicy. During the early years of that conflict, the Old South was turned into a stable and a writing academy by the British, and after their evacuation of Boston, an inventory of Prince's library revealed that Bradford's chronicle and other priceless old documents were missing. A search for them was made, and hopes of recovering them bounded up in 1793 when a manuscript volume of Bradford's letters suddenly came to light in a grocer's shop at Halifax, Nova Scotia, where its large folio pages were being used to wrap up pickles, soap, cheese, butter, and other small purchases. What little remained of it was rescued and published at Boston the next year, which stimulated a more determined search for other missing treasures. But when decade after decade passed without the discovery of a single clue, they were given up as irretrievably lost and written off as casualties of the Revolution. This is the kind of stuff to keep in mind when we think about whether we have a real substantive grasp on events of the past. What records are we using to understand those events? How complete are those records? And what could have happened to them in the interim? It's just fascinating to process. Anyway, Tiger's passed out. I'm going to sleep. Drive safe. See you out there.